My name is George Elossais. I'm going to show you the fundamental system that took our agency from 200 apps a month to over 600 apps a month in less than 2 years. And it wasn't just some fancy new play or a short-term trick that only works for a month. It came down to mastering the absolute basics, the fundamentals that have worked for our agency for over 20 years, no matter the rate environment. I've bought so many of the trainings out there, and I always found myself with questions or sitting through 3 or 4 hour Zoom calls full of fluff just to fill the time. This isn't that. This is different. I'm going to break down the 11 sales training basics that every single insurance agent must master if they want to stop living in a world of uncertainty and start building a predictable high-income career. These are the same fundamentals we teach in our office, the same principles that quadruple the size of our sales team, with every single one of them starting with zero sales or insurance experience. This isn't theory. I personally issue over $90,000 in premium each year while managing a sales team and a training company. This is what we do in the trenches every single day. So here's the agenda. We're going to start with the single biggest thing holding you back, which has nothing to do with your script. Then we're going to break down the must-have basics from mastering your systems and having a real sales process to the right way to think about price so it never cripples you again. By the end of this video, you'll have a clear roadmap of the skills that separate the average producer from the all-stars. Let's get into it. The most misdiagnosed problem in sales is that people think they have a closing problem or a greeting problem. The real problem, the thing holding you back the most, is your beliefs. What you believe is possible dictates your actions. Let me tell you how I more than 3x my close rate in 60 days. I remember when I first started to consistently outproduce everyone else in our office, I was probably writing 15 cars a month and 6 life and health policies a month. In the world that existed between my ears, I thought I was the man and that I had it all figured out. This got me into a group of high-producing team members that wanted to eventually run their own agency. And once I got around them, I quickly realized that with my 15 cars a month, I was average at best. So, being in that new environment, I started producing more just because of who I was around. I got up to 20 cars a month and 12 financial services. Then I got to the top of this team member group and I was feeling great again. So then I hopped on a training call with the number 2 agent in the company at the time. He started showing his production numbers of his team members. His lowest producing team member was writing 20 cars a month and his best was writing 49. I was absolutely shocked. Here I was thinking I was top dog with 20 cars and this guy had someone doing more than double that. So then you know what happened the very next month after I saw that? I wrote 53 cars. Did I get twice as good at selling in 30 days? Of course not. I didn't learn a new script, I didn't get better at objections, my belief about what was possible completely changed, and my actions followed. That's the first basic you have to master, your own mindset. It's the reason I used to believe you couldn't do a holistic sales process over the phone. I'd get the car insurance and I'd try to set an appointment for life insurance later. That one belief cost me thousands. Then I moved to Arizona for a year, and in my first 3 weeks, I went from writing 12 financial services a month to 0. I couldn't get a single person to meet with me. My new agent just laughed and said, "We don't meet with people either. We just do it all over the phone." And my mind was blown. Right after that lunch, I took a phone call where someone was just trying to pay their bill and ended up selling $1 million term policy over the phone. I didn't get better in that 1 hour between going to lunch and after. My belief just changed. Now, one of the most critical basics in this system is fact finding. To help you do this, I've put together our entire fact finder sheet into a PDF that you can download for free. This is the exact same sheet our 6-figure team members use to have a holistic needs-based conversation every single time and write more life and health. The link is right below this video in the description. Go download it now and you can see the framework we use to gather the intel you need to close more deals. Alright, so let's break down the 11 basics. We already covered the most important one. Basic number 1 is master your beliefs, but let's get tactical. Basic number 2 is master the systems. When I first started, I thought I could talk to people and the rest would take care of itself. That belief cost me. I was slow, I wasn't confident, and I had a lot of dead time on the phone, which kills sales because I was trying to figure out how to use all of our different systems to quote different policies. I remember it taking me 2 hours to write a simple 2-car, 1-house household. And today I can get 2 cars, a home, an umbrella, and financial services on the husband and wife within 15 to 20 minutes. You have to know how to use all of your quoting systems. And now whenever we have a new team member on our team, we have them do 10 quotes of each policy type in their first week just to get their feet wet. And if you're new and too afraid to make mistakes and want to be perfect at writing those policies, you have to remember that 100% of the policies you're selling can be reversed. So the worst thing that happens is a policy goes wrong in underwriting and then you just have to refund a customer. Obviously you want to minimize this, but when you're new, don't let that stop you because you can just refund it. And in the meantime, use that as another reason to really nail down learning all the quoting systems. Go all in, you'll just learn a lot faster. Basic number 3 is master a sales process. Like I said before, you can't have a random approach. A process makes it teachable and repeatable. It's like cooking. When you first start, you follow recipes. Once you get good at following recipes, you start creating your own. Our process has 7 steps: attitude, greeting, fact-finding, selection, presentation, trial close, and negotiating and closing. If you know where you are in the process, you know what to do next. It's your roadmap. Basic number 4 is master your attitude. This is step number 1 of the sales process for a reason. You have to have your head right before you even pick up the phone. That means being sold on what you sell and that you need to believe in your company. And if you really do believe in your company, buy every policy that you intend to sell on yourself and be willing to sell them to friends and family, even the life and disability policies. If you aren't willing to buy them on yourself and sell them to friends and family, you won't be able to sell them to strangers, and it wouldn't be very ethical either. Basic number 5 is master the greeting. You have 15 seconds to get someone's attention. We use what I call the SPICE framework: smile, posture, identify, clear intention, and engage. Smile as in smile when you're on the phone. People can hear it in your voice. Posture as in sit up straight, because nobody wants to work with a slouch. Identify means make sure you're talking to the right person. Clear intention means be honest about why you're calling. Don't use weak language. Don't say just following up or just checking in. And lastly, engage is using a pattern interrupt to get the person's attention to keep them on the phone. One of my favorites is for an online lead that comes in where you can say, "Hi, it's George from company name. I'm calling because I saw you started a quote online and you saw the wrong price. So I want to go through it with you to see if we can save you money." Notice how that's different from "Can I get you a quote?" It gets their attention immediately because they think they missed something when they were filling out the quote. Basic number 6 is master fact finding. This is easily the most overlooked part of the sales process, and the quote that always reverberates through our office is "You don't know if you don't ask." Think about it this way. If a complete stranger tells you that you'd love a certain restaurant, what are the odds that you would believe them, since they don't know you? It's the same in sales. You have to ask questions to build credibility, and then your recommendations will actually stick. Our goal is to always uncover a plan for 4 things on every call. What happens if someone gets in a car accident? If they pass away, if they get disabled, and if something happens to where they live. That's what the fact finder sheet is for. Basic number 7 is mastering price. Here's a belief you need to break right now. You don't understand price. Every price ever was just made up. Insurance rates are no different. They're being based on made-up prices of claims. So are you going to let something made up cripple your sales potential? I hope not. And hopes for church. In our office, we practice price forward selling. We're not afraid of the price. We're always upfront about it. We get to the rate as fast as humanly possible because people don't really start listening to you until you give them the price. Most salespeople are afraid of the price, so they push it off, and it always comes off in your tone. They can tell you're hiding something. And the problem is, people won't be able to buy anything until you tell them the price. And they're just wondering how much you're offering costs until you get there. Besides, despite what you think or are projecting onto the prospect, price is not everything, even if they say it. Let's say, for example, that you're building a house and you can get asbestos insulation for $1.50 a square foot or wool insulation for $3.10 per square foot. And now let's say I drop the price even more and you can get the asbestos insulation for 1 penny. You're still not going to buy it because you don't want a house that causes cancer. No price can make up for a bad product or a recommendation the client doesn't understand. In reverse, a quality offer in a good recommendation can make up for a high price. Basic number 8 is master simplicity. Stop trying to sound fancy with insurance jargon, or really just any fancy words. Smart people make the complex simple, not the other way around. You have to remember that 54% of adults in the US read at 6th grade level. In our office, it's our goal to make our explanations make sense to a 3rd grader, because if a 3rd grader gets it, odds are a 6th grader will too. And anyone else you talk to is going to appreciate you for making something so complicated seem easy to understand. Also remember that telling isn't selling. If all you do is dump facts on a prospect, their eyes will glaze over. Sales is a conversation where we ask questions, find problems, and then solve those problems in a way that makes sense for the prospect. Basic number 9 is master role play. I know it's awkward and uncomfortable. I used to think I'd rather just be on the phone selling because I'd learn more that way. But here's what I learned. Role playing is the secret cheat code to more experience. Think about it. A new person might spend a whole day calling just to talk to 3 people. Over a month, that's about 60 conversations. If you add just 1 role play per day, that's another 20 conversations. So now you're at 80 instead of 60. That's 33% more experience for the same amount of time. If you compare 2 brand new team members, one that role plays every day to one that doesn't, which one do you think is going to be better in a year? As uncomfortable as role play is, you have to lean into it if you want to get really good and be above average. Basic number 10 is master objections. Memorizing one-liners isn't enough. To truly handle objections, we need to take the time to learn why the person is saying what they're saying. You should also keep in mind that the first objection you hear is almost never the real one, and sometimes the second and third isn't either. Most of the time, objections you're going to get are going to be about time, money, or they're going to stall to a later time. But what's really going on is they're objecting to the product. It's just gift in disguise. For whatever reason, when the prospect is objecting, they just don't see the value, and that's where we come in. If you don't take the time to learn why the prospect is saying no to get to the real objection, you'll get nowhere. Basic 11 is master the trial close. A trial close is how you test the waters to see if a prospect is ready to be closed. It's a question that doesn't ask for full commitment yet. After you make your presentation, instead of asking, do you have any questions, which is a sign of a closing problem, you should ask something like, have you heard enough to make a decision? Is there anything you would change about this? Their answer tells you if you're ready to go for the close or if you need to go back to fact finding. If you do go for the close, i.e. taking payment or signature, and get an objection then, it's too late. So feel out the person first with a trial close. So there you have it, the 11 basics, but I want you to see how it all fits together. This isn't just a list of 11 different tricks. This is a system. The biggest rule in our office is that we focus on the fundamentals, not short-term plays that only seem to work for a little while. Think about it like this. They only had to get nail clippers done right once, and they haven't changed them much since then. When you know the fundamentals at work, you don't have to change much for a long time. These 11 basics are all part of a larger framework, the perfect sales process. Its importance is what turns sales into a science. When you have the same approach every time, you can easily identify what went wrong and what you need to improve on. When someone on my team has a bad call, I know where it happened in the process. It makes coaching easy and targeted. You're no longer guessing. You're diagnosing. You're engineering a better outcome. That's the difference between people who just get by and the people who build 6-figure careers as team members or 7-figure careers as agents. They don't rely on luck. They only rely on a process built from fundamentals. They're not just confident, they're confident in an unbeatable, repeatable, teachable process. So what's the one thing I want you to take away from this? It's this. Mastering these fundamentals is the only path to predictable long-term success. Forget the flavor of the month, focus on the basics, and you will be able to sell in any rate environment as products change and as the world changes. If you follow this training, you'll gain the ability to write more policies, take care of more people, and take home more money so you can have financial freedom, more kids, a bigger house, a massive backyard, or whatever you're after. Now that you have the fundamentals down, the next place most agents and team members get stuck is handling objections. So the next logical step for you to master that is to check out this video I made on how to handle every objection, where I break down the process we use to handle any objection you'll ever hear so you never get stuck on a call again. I'll see you over there.